move along. I have been telling you about this already because I tend to talk a lot, I know. The old change, and this is 20th century change coming from Frederick Taylor and all the other management gurus. It's top-down change. It means that all the intelligence is gathered at the top of the organization and they are telling the others what to do. So they can't be missed. They are crucial. It's incredible. I mean, they are in control, pulling the lines and everything. Another thing about old change is that you have exclusive teams, leadership. So you have exclusive teams, you know, it's just the board of directors or a committee that is going to think about a new strategy and a new change. Another feature of old change, just take a look in your organization if you're still seeing this, is that people tend to, of course, old change is about behavior change, or otherwise nothing will change. But they try to change the organizations and so everybody's behavior by outside forces. So when I'm working on an assembly line, you make it a bit faster and I have to work faster. So I have to adjust my behavior because you made me to. And if you want me to work harder but I'm not on an assembly line, you're going to give me a really strict manager. And he's going to measure my performance all the time. And he's going to give me targets. And by the end of the day, he's saying, hey, Marcella, what have you been doing? Why didn't you make your target? So because of him, I'm going to adjust my behavior or I'm going to leave eventually. But this is all change. It's influencing my behavior from outside. Another feature of old change is that you focus on an organization or a group. We want the organization as a whole to have a better performance, or we're going to command that we need more innovation. So guys, get innovative now. Or you're going to focus on a group. There is a team that is not functioning very well and you want to enhance their performance, and you're going to work with that group and you're trying to give them the vision, tell them what to do. Maybe you tell them a little bit how to do it, and then you're going to make sure that they do it by outside forces. So you give them a bonus or not, or you give them great projects or not if you want to punish them. But that is how you're going about change. And you know that people may resist some changes, or they have objections or second thoughts, but you're not going to get into that. Because one of your beliefs when you're into all change is that is the field of a therapist, a counselor, a coach, a psychologist, but it's not the field of a manager. So I don't really care how you feel about your work and what you're really thinking, and if you have impediments, if you have limiting beliefs, if you think you cannot do it, if you have a problem with your confidence and you're too afraid to sell the stuff to our customers, yeah, that might be so, but it's not my thing, you know. We're focusing on organizational change, and this is the way we're going to do it. So adapt or leave. That is all change. I've been telling you about 21st century change, the new way of change, and let me repeat that. That's a bit different. 21st century change is much more bottom-up, grassroots initiatives, and it's much more inclusive. So these days, you know, it's incredibly complex. Everything is connected to everything. So connectivity and collaboration are key words for individuals as well as organizations to survive. So you can't afford to have one top dog, one CEO who knows everything. He must be incredibly highly gifted to be able to process all that information, He can't do that. So that's not possible anymore. So we need to collaborate as a team, as an organization, with all our highly educated professionals together. And that means that successful change needs to be inclusive. It needs to be engaging, because you need all those people from everywhere in your organization to move along with you. You don't own them anymore. And behaviors change because of new mindsets. So if you want to have effective change, then you can say, well, come on, all your limiting beliefs and childhood traumas and stuff, that hold you back in your performance, see a therapist or a counselor. But you could also see what you can do about it, about mindsets and beliefs within an organization. Because if you want to have sustainable, lasting behavior that turns into habits and routines and automatically giving your best, then you need to do something about the mindsets, so the beliefs. So of course you need to see a psychologist if you have a real childhood trauma. That's a bit maybe stupid of me to say, but there are so many beliefs and mindsets that we should work on and that we can influence with our co-workers. So if you want to have successful change, it's not only from you don't only make me change from the outside, but also inside out. So you're going to entice people, influence people, and help them change the way they think. And then you will see some lasting new behaviors. So behaviors change inside out as well. And the focus is, of course, on the organization and the group or the team, of course. And you utilize group leverage and group learning, and you can support each other. And if you do that in the right way, it may be so much easier to change, of course. But the focus is also on the individual. So it matters how I feel and what I think. Because if I get that right, my customer will sense that I care. And my coworkers will sense it. And my performance will get better. Because my performance is now about information, it's about experience, it's about providing service. So I bring my whole personality to work. So you also coach your individuals to get successful change and to be a successful organization in the 21st century. And when you do that right, you get personal change and collective change. And if you add those up, you get 1 + 1, and maybe that equals 3 or more. So you can get a great leverage effect if you use inclusive, bottom-up, engaging change that is also working with mindsets, and that's also working with personal change and individuals as well as collective change. So it's really exciting. You can get great results and get really ready for the 21st century. Yes, but imagine, that you're going to show this video to one of your CEOs who really likes numbers, or Frederick Taylor may be looking, from somewhere. And what will they say? They will say, oh, that takes too much time and it is so fluffy. I think these are some objections that I hear a lot when I'm working with this approach as a consultant. It takes too much time and it's fluffy. The only thing I can say is it's not true. It's a way of old thinking. In the old industrial era, with the machine organization, it wouldn't be necessary. It would take too much time indeed. And you didn't need to get into mindsets, maybe. But okay, welcome again to the 21st century. If you spend this time in advance, you're going to win this time back later when your change program is not sabotaged and your organization is not damaged. And people skills matter so much that when I really think about it, I think, okay, where have you been in the past 100 years? Sorry. But you may call this fluffy, but it's very specific. So if you do this right, you can actually change within 6 months, no problem. If you engage people and you respect their opinions and their perspectives, and you work with them and you influence their mindsets, and you solve their objections together with them, and they take ownership and accountability and agency, my goodness, you will see how fast organizations are able to change and to have some fun doing it, supporting each other, stimulating each other to engage in this exciting new challenge and change, and you will unleash a true potential and great energy. So you think, okay, I have to start talking first, and that takes time, but you win it back. You win it back big time. So I have seen substantial change within 6 months. And it is not fluffy. It is essential when you're working with people and providing service in this information and experience economy. And it's not fluffy because the behaviors you're going to work on are very specific. So the thing is, of course, it is fluffy when you leave it as a concept and you drop it down and say, hey, do this, guys, then it's not going to work. But if you make it tactical and you define specifically how people can achieve those results and how we can do this, you make it so practical that you get very specific behavior that is tangible, visible, measurable, and that produces very high performance. And the fluffy stuff produces 70% of failure rates in organizational change. So how's that? This is all I can say, and if you meet these objections, and I'm sure you're not one of those people who think this way, but it might be so that you have to convince or persuade your CEO or your HR manager or your client when you're working as a consultant, think about this, and please tell them and sell them that they have to change, and the best way to change and to keep up with this incredible pace in the 21st century is by engaging your people. Okay, now I maybe, I get carried away, so I hope you're still with me. Bear with me a little more. We're approaching the end of the video. But I do think this is very important, and that's why I'm telling you all this. And it's just not my opinion. I've seen it at work in the organizations that I work with. And so I'm going to share with you, and this is really a great way to see if your change project is going to be successful or not, or what you need to adjust to get it more successful even. And this is the 7C framework of change success. And the 7 C's are the necessary conditions for successful change, and you absolutely need them. And you're going to check on all 7 of these C's, of these conditions. And if one of them is not okay, you need to look into that condition in order to get successful change. Now let's take a look at the framework. The first condition for change is commitment. And this is a no-brainer, of course. I mean, everybody knows that you need to be committed to a project to make it to a successful end. No big deal, of course. Yet, it's easy to overlook this one way or the other. I have seen consultants who were desperate for finding new projects, and they could sense that the CEO or the board or one of the top executives wasn't buying in on the project, and they weren't really committed to change and to change themselves, their own behaviors. And yet they took on the project because they needed to pay their rent or mortgage. Okay, so commitment is a very hard condition for change success. And of course, it's understandable that people try to negotiate these 7 C's, but if things are not working out, please check on these 7 C's. So commitment, it's not just commitment of the CEO, it's also commitment from everybody else in the organization. So if you see indifference in your organization, you might see people who just come to work, do their job, and they don't really care about the whole. It's just a job they do, 9 to 5, and then they get paid, and that's it. And they don't really care. If you encounter this kind of indifference, you need to work on that first, and you have to find out what they do care about. You have to look into their drivers, their motivation. You have to find their gain and their pain. You have to know what they care about and what they are about to see if you can get some more commitment to change. So it's big, it's much more than just this word. You have to look into it. The second C, the second condition is clarity. And this is clarity about where we are now, awareness that we have a problem, so that we take ownership for an issue or a problem, that we are very aware of the urgency that something needs to change. And it's the clarity, where are we now, but also, where are we going? So we have to have a clear vision. We have to have a perspective on the 21st century. We have to know how it's going to be and how it's going to affect our organization. So this clarity, a clear goal, a clear vision, a direction of where things are going and where you need to go or what you need to change right now, what the problem is essential. Third, you need consensus. Yes, you do. Again, in the old way of change, you didn't need consensus. In the end, your boss could say, okay, I don't care how you feel, but you have to do this. Just do it, okay? Period. Welcome to the 21st century. In this new economy, you need consensus. If you don't have a true consensus, and I have hidden objections or second thoughts, and I'm not sharing them with you, we might end up having a worse plan than necessary, because if I would have told you, we would have been able to get me moving along, but maybe also to improve the plan. Maybe my second thoughts or hidden objections were key, and we could improve things. So consensus is not just about avoiding resistance and influencing people to get them changing with you and to buy in to your proposals and projects. No, it's also about improving the change and intelligently using and utilizing the knowledge and the experiences and all the fragments of the puzzle everywhere in your organization. Because nowadays you don't know everything anymore. So you need consensus to have your autonomous professionals change along with you.